Hello Toronto, my name is Jeff Shew with Shew Properties, and I'm here to tell you about the newest development coming in Mississauga, right at the corner of here, Ontario and Dundas, Artform Condos. Now we're actually here at the developer's office. There's no one better to tell you about the project than the builder themselves. So let's get right into it. We are here with the Artform developers and their sales and marketing team. There's Jenny Boyd in charge of sales and marketing, and then Cash Pashutin with Artform Condos. Cash, I'd like to ask you a couple questions and really understand your philosophy, your whole ambition about why you decided to make Emblem developments and how that all started.
As you may know, my first company, First Avenue, we've managed the assets of wealthy Canadian families for over 20 years. And so we are professional investors. That's what we do. And it's no secret that real estate has grown significantly in Toronto over the last decade. And it's been a great way for families to grow their wealth. It's been a great investment asset class. And so for us, we have a lot of experience and success in the equity markets, and we're bringing that same process and expertise to the real estate development, and we're doing that through Emblem, which is the private equity arm of First Avenue.
What other previous developments have you been involved in?
So I've personally done 17 developments since 2008, but it hasn't been for the public. It's been my own family's capital, and so firsthand been able to experience how real estate can be a great asset class to grow your wealth and see a meaningful return on investment. So for us, we feel that similar to that of a pension fund, you want to cover all of your bases. So having investments in the stock market, in the bond market, and in the real estate market give you a very well-balanced portfolio.
I want to actually talk about the piece of land in general. I mean, with Artform, why did you acquire that specific one? What was your thought process when acquiring it and to make it become Artform and what it is?
Yeah, so look, we really like Mississauga from an investment perspective. We know that Toronto has seen significant appreciation sort of right downtown in the core, and we feel that Mississauga is earlier in its growth cycle than downtown Toronto is. So overall, we really like Mississauga from an investment perspective, but we think that Cooksville is actually even a little bit earlier in its growth than Mississauga, let's say the Square One area. So being professional investors, the Cooksville area we feel has the greatest potential in all of Mississauga, given that it's so close to the Square One area, but investors are able to access units at a lower price than you would right in the Square One area. So generally speaking, that's how we zoomed in on Cooksville. And then as we looked at developments, one of the focuses that we have at Emblem for any project we do is exceptional design, right? And you'll see that present in all facets of any project we do, and we'll talk about that from the outside to the amenities to the interior suites. But a lot of that starts with the actual location, the site.
Yes, exactly.
Right, and so for us, before COVID hit, we were already thinking about how do we bring the lifestyle that you would have in a home into a condominium. And so we achieved that with a few specific areas with the building, but the site is really what helps set the stage for that. And when you look at the piece of land that this building will be constructed on, there's a nice water feature, a creek that's there that we're completely restoring. And there is a tree-lined perimeter all around the building. So what does that mean? What that means is when you're outside, so the exterior amenity space that we have, imagine you're sitting there and you have plush greenery and tall trees with the noise of water behind you. That's similar to what you may achieve in a home right in your backyard. And that's unique to the site because you often will not get that at many different condominium sites.
Yeah, like normally when you think of condo, you don't think of peace and serenity.
You're right.
But with the tree lines and the lake and the water flowing, it speaks for itself.
It does. And that thinking, Jeffrey, is present all throughout the project. So for example, every single unit in this building has a balcony, right? And COVID has shown us how important it is to be able to access fresh air, stand outside, if you're in a condominium.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And look, COVID's not going to be here forever.
Right.
It's going to go away.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have a unit, every unit has a balcony, is very important. You know, the windows, that's another very important part. If you look at the size of these windows and the amount of natural light that they're going to let in, that's significant. So there's a lot of factors that, again, you know, you all know from being experienced in real estate, when you walk into a condominium or into a home and you get that feeling that's so powerful, you can't explain it, but it just feels right. That happens not because of one or two things the developer does. It happens when you have several different facets come together and create that feeling. And that's how we set out to do every project. You know, if you look at our floor plans, you'll see we do not waste a single inch of square footage, right? You buy a unit from plans, you don't notice it until you go in the building. But for example, the hallways, right?
Yeah.
That's a waste of space, right? We know that, right?
Right.
I don't know many people that relax in their hallway, right? So you're paying for that square footage, but you can't use it.
Right.
So when you look at the floor plans from Emblem, on any of our projects, Artform included, you'll see that we've obsessed with how we use the space. So there's several facets where we achieve that exceptional design, from where the land is and what we've done on the outside to inside the units, how we create that feeling of airiness and light, and all the way through the project that's present.
And it really sounds like you guys don't just focus on the building itself, because the landscaping is all, the way the sun shines into the building, it seems like it's all thought out and well, you know, balanced in the whole project.
Obsess is the right word.
Obsessed is the
we,
right
we,
word.
we truly do obsess. I mean, look, we're very proud of this project because we haven't rushed to come to market. We've really taken our time, and we're doing that. Right now, Emblem has 10 projects that we have under development. And we have several sites that are at the due diligence stage, but 10 that we've acquired and are under development. With the Artform building, you see it, there's no compromise anywhere. For example, you can take that building and put it anywhere in Toronto and it would hold its own. You know, we haven't built a building that we said, oh, well, it's good for Cooksville, it's the first building, it's up and coming, there's no competition. No, you can take this building, put it in Yorkville, and it will stand its own against any other building. You know, and you wonder why. Well, you look at the building, we don't use stucco, right? There's not an ounce of stucco used on that. We have focused on achieving a timeless design. We've done that with stone, brick,
Yes,
glass.
yes,
And
yes.
so, you know, there's a lot of reasons. You know, simplicity is often the most difficult thing to achieve. And when you look at a building and it looks right, there's been a lot of thought and intention that's gone into achieving that.
Sorry.
We have that with Artform.
I just had a thought, because, you know, I'm, you know, downtown condos, and I start thinking about resale, and then, you know, there's a condo called Tableau Condos, and again, they don't use stucco and all that. And you can see that the value holds a lot better when the design is timeless like that.
Yes.
As opposed to like condos that are just cookie cutter stucco, and like the value, when you walk into the lobby, it's a world of difference.
Yeah.
It's a world of difference.
And the other way that you achieve that is, look, the taller the building is, the more you start to potentially lose some character, right? Whenever you look at developments, the boutique buildings generally trade at a higher price than the high-rise buildings that have many floors. It's not by accident that this building is 17 stories, because we feel that as a boutique building, we're able to also preserve that look, feel, and feeling, the experience that you get, that we would lose if we went to, let's say, 30.
So you had the actual choice to go higher and make more money.
This site, when we acquired it, was 26 stories.
26
And
stories.
we worked very closely with the city and the residents in Cooksville and the councillor in Cooksville made it very clear that they did not want to lose the residential feel. So again, the more you look at this building, the more you will see how much time went into it. When you stand on the street and you look at this building, when you look at Artform, it will not feel like a high-rise. It will feel like a high-quality, luxurious mid-rise building because you see the podium. The tower is intentionally set back, and so from the street level, you see a beautiful, timeless mid-rise building. And again, these are the elements that protect your investment and in fact have it appreciate and do better than, like you said, a quote-unquote cookie-cutter high-rise.
Now, getting into the design, we're quite into it heavily. We did some research and we noticed the interior designer is U31 and the interior architect, the architect is Studio JCI.
Yeah, so on the architecture side, we engaged Studio JCI because if you look at their work, they have achieved excellent execution on that mid-rise form building. So they have two buildings that they designed that are in the Summerhill, Rosedale area, and we felt that they really achieved that timeless look that we want in the mid-rise boutique feel with those two buildings. So based on our vision of what this project would be, we firsthand experienced what they had achieved with those two buildings. So they were absolutely the right architect for this project. And look, we're very hands-on. Emblem, we are very hands-on with every detail. So, I think Studio JCI at times would tell you that we were probably too hands-on, but that's our passion for what we do in the development space. On the interior design side, look, U31 has one of the strongest reputations in interior design in all of Toronto. They've done several of the most well-known downtown Toronto buildings. And, when we talked to Kelly and his team, we just felt that they really understood how we wanted to create distinction with this project and a timeless feel. So we engaged them for this project. And you see it, when you talk about design, you see it all the way through. For example, when you look at our kitchens, we intentionally created two options because we felt that it captured the essence of this building. We don't want buyers to go in and put 25 different finishes because we feel that will compromise the aesthetic of the building. We wanted to really create that brand and that consistency. So buyers have lots of choice, but at the same time we've also protected the feel and the brand of the building by not providing too much choice where you can have all sorts of colors all over the place. But this project here, not only is the price point very attractive, we haven't compromised on the building, the finishes. You see that on the outside. On the inside, you see that as well with the windows. You see that in the kitchens. For example, our kitchens, when you look at the backsplash, there's no tile, right? We're one of the few projects that will not use tile. We use full slab.
Wow.
So we have a full slab in the backsplash that leads, it's the same as the countertop. So when you look at it, you have an absolute seamless backsplash going into the countertop. And so again, when you walk into a space and it feels right, you don't always know why. It's those type of elements, it's that type of design.
Small details.
Yeah, and as a developer, you have to be willing to make that investment, right? There's a reason why it doesn't happen often, because it's expensive.
It's expensive.
So we've been able to provide that to the end user at a very attractive price.
Jenny, this question will be directed towards you.
Yes.
As sales and marketing, I want to ask you a little bit about Artform Condos, and what do you think about, if there was one thing that stood out about Artform, what would you say?
Well, there's more than one thing for sure.
If there was one thing though.
Yes, well, we are part of the master plan community of Dundas Connect, because as you know, and Mimi knows this, that every single time you purchase, like King West, 15 years ago, you could buy a condo for around $325 per square foot for a 1-bedroom plus den, and today that same unit could be priced at $1,400 per square foot. So there is going to be 52,000 new residents that is going to come out part of the Dundas Connects, and we're part of that. And jobs, the creation of jobs of over 9,600 jobs that's there. I'm going to add more because we also have the LRT line, which is 18 kilometer long. But it's under construction by Metrolink. It's going to be done in 2024. which is in line with our occupancy, was spring 2024 tentatively for Artform. The 17-story, 336 units. And Cash mentioned that it's a boutique building, and the way how we designed the building, that you can put it anywhere, you can put it in Yorkville and it will fit right in, because Emblem is very, very, I mean, the building is timeless.
They said that they were going to start construction 2020. That's what the government said, and they have started construction on 2020. And so we do expect everything to be on time and in line with the LRT. Like, that's one thing that's actually amazing that Mississauga has done. The city of Toronto could not be on time, but Mississauga itself has been able to do that.
Yes.
And they're actually a very old city, like older than Markham, older than, so their transit system's a lot better than, even a lot of people tell me, like, I'd much rather be in Mississauga for the transit system than Toronto, because their transit system is much more connected, much more well thought out. The city of Mississauga has done many good things with it, and that's why you see a lot of downtown people, they're moving to Mississauga. This area is beautiful.
Yeah, well, transit, Jeffrey, is so important, as you mentioned. What's ironic is that when you look at how long it takes you to get from Artform to Union Station, right downtown Toronto, it takes less time in many cases than other condos that are closer to downtown, because they don't have the same structure with public transit, right? You have the LRT, you have the GO train, you have the BRT, and after a quick ride at the Kipling station, you could even take the subway if you want. So you have all major public transit options available to you very close to the building, and not to mention you're a few minutes away from Square One. And so all of those amenities, shopping, entertainment, restaurants, are minutes away. But when it's time to go home and relax, rejuvenate, you can turn it off because you're far enough where it's not there all the time.
Now let's get into the floor plans of the building. Like, what would you say about the floor plans? I know you mentioned you don't really waste space, but you know, is there any, what's the size of the units?
Yeah.
And
So, you know, there's been a lot of positive feedback on this project. We've actually been surprised at the enthusiasm that we've seen from buyers on this project, given that we're just coming out of the COVID era.
yeah, I had clients ask me last month about this project.
Yeah.
Like 2 months ago.
Yeah,
They're all
because
excited.
you know the market, buyers want, in any industry, buyers want a product where they can tell the provider put a lot of time into it, right? There's no substitute for passion. When you're passionate about something, it shows. Whether you're baking cupcakes, you're building homes, you're building cars, and it's very clear we did not rush this project. There's been a lot of time, energy, and intention that's gone into it. On the floor plans, you know, we're coming to market with a very strong price, initial price, very appealing, attractive starting price. What many don't know is that that price will not be for a one bedroom. It will be for a one bedroom plus den. So not only is it an attractive entry point from a price perspective, but your money is getting you more than just the standard studio or one bedroom. It's a one bedroom from den, plus den. So we will not have one bedrooms in here. They'll start with one bedroom plus den and go up from there.
Is there any studios?
We actually don't have studio. 1+ Den is the smallest, and
Right.
the reason for that is when we designed this building, we've been working on this for over a year now. We wanted to cater to the here in Ontario and Dundas sort of clientele neighborhood, because we met with many people, and there's lots of end user that are
Yes.
looking for building in that area, because if you look at it, because of the master plan community, there are actually you don't see any condo. We're one of the first.
No,
few that
no,
have
not at
condo
all.
there. 80% of a unit will be under $600,000, because we know, and you know, that it's affordable, right? It's all about it's not about what you want, it's what you can afford. And I think that price point is very sweet to everyone. And for an end user, even investor, because we're 15-minute BRT bus ride away from University of Toronto, Mississauga. I mean, there's over 15,000 students that are going there, and you have a huge rental pool for that as well. For investor who want to buy for their children to attend university later on, rental income, there's a great opportunity there. And like Cash said, we are going to be one of the best value in this neighborhood, because you get in now to the ground floor, and it will grow because we're one of the first few of 52,000 new residents that's going to come
Yeah.
out.
So the buyer is today able to access these units at a very attractive price and not compromising on the finishes. In fact, we would say that our finishes are at the top range of anything being offered in Mississauga. You know, the other thing I want to talk about is the amenities, right? We
Yes.
talked about with amenities, the interior space, the exterior space, right? That's very important because when you have a condo, often you don't get the same tranquil feeling that you get with a home. So to have, and you'll see in our model of the building, to have exterior space that has a beautiful perimeter of trees, mature trees, and to have the water flowing, you know, to hear that water flowing with the trees as the backdrop, it really creates that backyard feel. You have the Cooksville Park, which is steps away from you. We have 17,500 square feet of amenity space. Okay, why that is significant is, well, first of all, that's just a lot of square footage of
Yes.
amenities. But the other part is this is not a 30-story building, right? So you may look at a project that has more amenity space from a square footage perspective, but you're sharing that with twice the amount of people that are in this building. And that's really important. You take the amenity space and you divide it by the number of units and the square footage of the units. That gives you a ratio. We have one of the highest ratios of any project in Mississauga, and that's important because, again, these are the factors that determine your quality of life if you purchase a unit at
That's actually extremely important because I've lived in condos many times. I now live in a house, but when we go into a condo and we say we're the resident, they actually create Facebook groups, and you kind of are in a community with this condo now. You know your neighbors. You're going to see people all the time that live in the same condo, and so it's really important to create a very, very, very luxurious community space for everybody to relax and to really, you know, socialize and everything. It's definitely with the ratio. You definitely need space when you're in condo sharing with, you know, hundreds of people.
And indoor and outdoor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the outdoor space, you don't want to feel like you're in a concrete jungle, right? And that's often what a
Yes.
lot of the amenity spaces
Yes,
feel like.
exactly.
So the trees, the water, this again adds elements that are not easy to find in other projects.
So what type of purchaser do you expect to be buying in this development?
You know, it's we thought about that when we do any project, and for us at Emblem, what we look for is less about the demographic. So it's less about are you 25 or 65. It's more about what do you value, right? And what we find is whether you're 25 or 65, there's several factors, there's several items that buyer values, right? And the first one, which everybody values, is exceptional design. And that's what we've put into this building and all of our other buildings. And it goes on from there, right? Natural light, the usage of space, how much is wasted, how much is not. The amenity space, right? How much is there? How functional is it? Is it indoor and outdoor? When I'm indoor, when I'm outdoor, what's the feeling? So we focus a lot on that. But in terms of the units, because our starting units are 1 bedroom and a den, it's a very flexible floor plan. Right, with 1 bedroom and a den, you can have a young professional that's starting out their career and buy that unit and use the den as an office, for example. Or you can go to the other end of the extreme and have it be a couple that their kids have grown up and moved out and they're downsizing from a large home in Mississauga, right? And everything in between, right? A young family that's expecting or has 1 child. That could be the nursery, or the other, that the den could be made into a smaller bedroom. So that floor plan gives a lot of flexibility, especially when you combine that with large windows, lots of natural daylight, a green-like setting in many of the views in the building, and the outdoor space we have. It does provide a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, Oneplus Den is definitely the most high-in demand product in my experience. Everybody wants a Oneplus Den.
And that's what we focused on in this building.
So cash that we designed, the building would purchaser in mind, we designed quite a bit of 1 bedroom plus den, which you love, and 2 bathroom, and a price point of under $600,000. We know it, and you know it from experience, that that price point is very affordable for everyone to purchase. And having a 1 bedroom plus den, where the den can be a 2nd bedroom or a baby's room, and a 2nd bathroom, you cater to a couple, a single person, or a couple with a child. So it gives you lots and lots of flexibility. Because we're so central location-wise, you can pretty much go anywhere. You can go down to Port Quetta to see the water, you can go to Square One, you can walk to the park, that's about 600 meters away, to Cooksville Park, you can go downtown in 30 minutes, you drive to the airport in 15 minutes. The location itself, I mean, it's all about location, location, location.
I wanted to ask the last question, which was, what do you see Mississauga really becoming in 10 years? And even Cooksville itself, what do you see that, coming?
Yeah, so look, the numbers tell us that Mississauga is going to experience a significant boom over the next decade. Right? The numbers are telling us that from an immigration perspective, from an employment perspective, from a development perspective, and it's already started, right? You've seen the commitment of large developers and pension funds to doing multiple buildings in the Square One area. So we know that growth is there. And where Cooksville fits into it is we actually feel that Cooksville is more opportunistic. That's why we've decided to develop there. Not only Artform, we have Artform 2, which is hundreds of meters away from Artform 1, and we have other sites that we're working on right in that area. We're there, it's not by accident that we're there.
No.
And we're not doing one building, right? So it's not a one-hit wonder, we do a building, we move on. We're very much committed in being part of the master plan community that's taking place, and that's why we've been so close to the city and working with them on this project. But to us, when you look at some of the areas downtown Toronto, it should point to what Mississauga and Cooksville will be in the future. What I mean by that is you have an area like downtown Toronto where there's lots of restaurants, lots of employment, and to us, that's similar to a Square One.
Yeah.
Right? And then you look at some of the areas that are close to downtown Toronto that actually demand a higher price point than being right downtown, which are the areas that homeowners have decided have great communities and they want to live in, whether it's King Street West, whether it's Yorkville. These are areas that are not right downtown, but have a strong sense of community. To us, that's what Cooksville is, right? Square One to us is the downtown, similar to downtown Toronto, and the Cooksville area is that of a King West or a Yonge and Bloor, Yorkville area in the future. So it will take its own form, but the common denominator is you have this central hub of employment, shopping, entertainment being downtown, being the Square One area, and then you have an area that's so close, but still gives you that sense of community and quietness that sometimes you don't get in the core.
Being well connected in a community is the most important part. As long as you can get to work within 15 minutes, everything is that's where people want to be.
Yeah. And look, there's going to be other developments in Cooksville. We know that for certain. But even that aside, we're going to create that because we're doing multiple buildings there. So again, buyers here could rest assured that that sense of community will be created, A, because of the master plan community the city has set out, but also you have a developer that's already committed to doing buildings there. So this will not be one building and then it takes years for other buildings. You're going to see a series of buildings take place here at the Emblem standard because we're setting that standard. And that's, I think, very exciting. That presents a very exciting future for Cooksville.